Hi guys, it's Dylan from Bijou Diamond Jewelry in London with another video, and today we're looking at something very special. It's the Cullinan from Rolls-Royce. We've been thinking about doing watches and cars for a long time at Bijou Diamond Jewelry. We've been thinking because a lot of our clients who like watches also like cars as well. There's a massive overlap in the industry, and we're finding increasingly now that watch companies are looking at cars as well for inspiration. So Richard Mille, for example. And so we thought it would be only appropriate to bring cars into the channel and take a look at them. We'll always be a watch and jewelry company and therefore a watch and jewelry channel, but it's always nice to diversify and show new things on the channel and educate you guys about some new exciting things. So we've got Robert here, who's going to teach us about this incredible car from Rolls-Royce.
Looking forward to it?
Yeah, he's a real incredible pool of knowledge on all cars, not just the Rolls-Royce, and we're hoping many more exciting videos will come from Robert as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so as with all my reviews, I like to start with the history, and this one is going to be no exception. Robert will probably tell us more information on the car's history, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the name of the Cullinan. And it's really important actually why Robert and I chose this car is because the Rolls-Royce Cullinan is actually named after the Cullinan Diamond. And the Cullinan Diamond was a diamond that was discovered in 1905 in South Africa in the town called Cullinan. It was discovered by a person that worked in the mine, so a miner actually used their penknife to pick out the diamond from the mine. That was such a big diamond, no one had ever seen that diamond, a diamond of that size before. In fact, the diamond weighed just under 3,107 carats, which is absolutely massive. It's over 600 grams. The diamond was quickly shipped off to London, but the interesting thing is that it wasn't shipped in the usual manner. So they actually commissioned a ship to take the stone from South Africa all the way to London. But the stone that actually went on the ship was a replica, it was a fake stone. And it was actually guarded by guards 24/7 in the captain's safe on the ship, and then it arrived in London. But the real diamond was actually sent in a little tin in the post, and then later on arrived in London.
Yes, it was a ruse.
Yeah, it was crazy. There was a buyer found in London, and basically the buyer bought it for King Edward VII. And King Edward VII decided he wanted to have it cut, but not by anyone. He actually had it cut by the Asher brothers. So if you know a little bit about diamonds and diamond shapes, you'll know the Asher cut is a very famous, beautiful cut, and it looks quite similar to an emerald cut. So the Asher brothers came over to London. Specifically, Abraham Asher was the one that collected the diamond from King Edward in London, and he actually took it home back to Amsterdam in his coat pocket. And cut it back in Amsterdam. It took him around 8 months. The crazy thing is that stone was worth, well, it was bought for just under $1 million at that time, which is actually well over $20 million now in today's money. And he just carried it in his pocket all the way back to Amsterdam.
Back, I'm sure.
Great, yeah, very nervous journey back. He cut the diamond, took him around 8 months, and he got some incredible stones from that piece of rough. Some really notable stones. In fact, there's 9 major stones and then 96 minor stones that were cut from that diamond. The 9 major stones, pretty much all of them have remained in fact, all of the stones pretty much have remained in the royal family, or the British royal family. The kind of notable ones are the Cullinan 1, which is a 530 carat diamond. It's very similar to a pear cut. It's quite a unique stone. It's absolutely massive. And the next one is and that can be found in the Tower of London. Yeah. The next stone is Cullinan 2, which is a 317 carat cushion cut, which can be found in the crown jewels, also kept in the Tower of London. And then the third, which is my favorite Cullinan diamond, which is Cullinan 3, and that is a 94 carat pear cut diamond, which is absolutely stunning. And the Queen occasionally wears that as a brooch. Beautiful stone. If you get a chance to come to London, then make sure you go to the Tower of London. It's an incredible thing to see these diamonds. They're so rare and beautiful. That's the history of the Cullinan Diamond. That is what this beautiful car is named after, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Okay, so the reason why Rob and I chose the Rolls-Royce Cullinan for this video is because the Rolls-Royce vehicles are very much about attention to detail. In fact, the whole company is very much about attention to detail. And Rob was telling me about the fact that they use a lot of and diamonds and jewelry things within their cars, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Metalworks.
Rolls-Royce are no stranger to using diamonds.
Yeah, exactly. So they're fully, they use all the different areas of the jewelry industry as well, even though they are a car company. They're the ultimate of luxury car companies. So we thought it'd be only fair to bring to you guys the first video in this kind of series of car videos, the most special and the most jewelry-like and watch-like cars and car companies. And now I'm going to hand it over to Robert, who's going to take us through this amazing vehicle and tell us all the details about the car.
So this, as we've said, Dylan, is the new Rolls-Royce Cullinan, the very latest model to be added to Rolls-Royce's innovative new car range. Rolls-Royce, of course, are no stranger to using diamonds in their cars. There are many examples of this throughout the company's history, and indeed particularly recent history. The Rolls-Royce Phantom 7 Celestial, for example, was encrusted with diamonds on the interior.
Okay, so as you're aware, I have a little sort of side series that I do about the 4 Cs and diamond buying guide. And Rob thought it'd be a really cool idea to kind of apply the 4 Cs to this car.
Absolutely. So the 4 Cs being colour, cut, clarity, and indeed carat. So given this is Rolls-Royce, Rolls-Royce are the masters of bespoke. So much so that Rolls-Royce even built a completely one-off bespoke car for a customer known as Sweptail, which looks completely different to every other model in the range. So in terms of colour, being such a bespoke car division, one can have tens of thousands of different colours of their car. In fact, customers can even bring in an object of their choosing of a particular colour and get the car painted in that particular colour themselves. Furthermore, Rolls-Royce invest a huge amount of time in the finishing of their paintwork, something they call surface finishing, to produce an absolute mirror-like finish. Several variants, for example, there was the most recent Phantom, something called the Whispered Muse. Liquid glass was actually infused into the paint to create a completely mirror-like effect.
Wow. Yeah, so very much like jewellery then, isn't it? With, I mean, in the workshop we have sort of techniques that we do for creating an ultra high mirror finish. And to create that on paint, I know is very difficult, but obviously Rolls-Royce has managed to do it.
Then the second C is, of course, cut. Well, I think one can see, and I mean, the overall architecture and appearance of this car, it is immediately identifiable as a Rolls-Royce, even if one doesn't have to look at the Pantheon grille or indeed the majestic Spirit of Ecstasy on the bonnet. Just the proportions of this car, those classic, timeless, traditional Rolls-Royce proportions, having a short front overhang, a long rear overhang, the car being roughly twice the height of the wheels, the beautiful coach doors. This car is quintessentially a Rolls-Royce. And although it is a new model and something brand new for the company, it is steeped in heritage and tradition and ticks all of those boxes in terms of the fundamental principles upon which Rolls-Royce design is built. Clarity. So as Dylan no doubt knows, clarity is a very important aspect in terms of defining the quality of a diamond, and I presume it's that the clearer the diamonds, the better.
Yeah, so the less included, the less imperfections, the more perfect it is and the more rare it is.
So I think how that applies to Cullinan is this car's clarity of purpose. This is the all-purpose, go anywhere, effortless everywhere Rolls-Royce. This car's purpose is extremely clear. This is the Rolls-Royce that slips seamlessly into customers' lives and can be used for a number of activities, for example, shooting, hunting, or even snowboarding. So in terms of carat, well, what can one say? This is quite a large car, so if we measured it in terms of carats, there'd be many zeros at the end of that number, I think. But yeah, still a fabulous car.
Okay, so as with my watch reviews, and same as we've just done with the history, I like to go through the different features of the watch, starting with the clasp and going around to the bracelet, the case, etc. And I kind of want to do the same thing with Rob here with the Rolls-Royce. So we're going to start at the front, work our way around the back, and then come inside the car, look at the interior, starting from the back and then working our way to the driver's seat. So over to Rob.
So as we can see, Cullinan is immediately identifiable as a Rolls-Royce. We have this beautiful majestic Pantheon grille and of course the Spirit of Ecstasy mascot on the bonnet. The Spirit of Ecstasy on the Cullinan is actually one of the nicest to look at from the interior of the car because one has the best view. And that's because of this indentation or valley here in the bonnet, which creates a valley effect. So one can actually see the entire height of the symbol from the very top to the very base. The Spirit of Ecstasy on this car is actually uplit. There are LEDs recessed into the base of the Spirit, which actually light up the Spirit of Ecstasy at night.
And that's actually something that's really cool that I had no clue why the Spirit of Ecstasy was on the car. But Rob was showing me that basically you can align the Spirit of Ecstasy with the side of the road. And it tells you basically where the car is sitting, in relation to the curb. And so it helps you keep it centre. Really cool little thing.
Yeah, so it makes sure you have enough space to pass because it is quite a wide car. Plus, just such a lovely thing to look at. It kind of twinkles and sparkles when you drive along. It's a stunning looking thing.
Does this one fold away or not?
Yeah, so they all absolutely fold away. When you lock the car, the Spirit of Ecstasy folds. And Rolls-Royce actually create these in many different metals of the customer's choosing. So they're even pure silver versions. Wow. I've seen golds. Even often the Cullinan is actually fitted with a translucent or kind of glass crystal Spirit of Ecstasy.
Amazing.
So it's done in various different forms, and of course the beauty of it is there is that continuity of tradition with the Spirit of Ecstasy. I mean, if you were to take even a Rolls-Royce Ghost from 1907,
Right.
It would still have the Spirit of Ecstasy. So this was always fitted to the cars. The car is also fitted with that amazing Pantheon Rolls-Royce grille, which is of course a quintessential Rolls-Royce styling cue. It's not the largest grille fitted to a Rolls-Royce. That accolade resides with the pinnacle model, which is of course the beautiful Phantom, but it is nonetheless prominent on Cullinan and a stunning feature of the front of the car. So at the very bottom of the car here we have, well, there's a series of sensors, and Rolls-Royce cars do a number of things. Obviously there is of course adaptive cruise control. So this is where the car actually mimics the behaviour of the car in front. So if the car in front speeds up, this will speed up and keep a set distance, or if it slows down, it will slow down. It really makes for a really relaxing drive.
Of course.
Night vision as well is something else that this car has. For forests like this, for example, the LED lights fitted to the car are one of the most advanced in the world as well. They're incredibly bright at night and really light up, which is obviously very important for an SUV.
That little Rolls-Royce logo inside, that's amazing.
Oh, this is almost like jewellery itself.
Yeah, it is.
In fact,
Detail.
the inside of headlights typically would be referred to as headlight jewellery. The
Really?
kind of detailing. So it's another nice nods to jewellery in there.
I can see it's all finished amazingly with the chrome and everything.
Yes, very, very well done.
Beautiful.
So that kind of concludes the front of the car. So let's go and maybe have a look at the side.
Okay, so we've moved around to the side of the car. Is there anything you want to tell me about the wheel or?
Yes, there's numerous kind of aspects to the wheels of Rolls-Royces. Obviously this one is particularly fitted with a chrome finished enormous 22-inch alloy wheel, which is actually optional on this car, but looks absolutely stunning. Of course, one of Rolls-Royce's traditional styling cues would be that the car should be exactly double the height of the wheel.
Oh, okay.
So it's
so the actual body is double the height of the wheel?
Double the height of the wheel.
Oh,
usually in a Rolls Royce, it looks the same on the Cullinan as well, but it really keeps those kind of classic proportions.
Right. So this is the midpoint of the car then?
It's almost like the midpoint of the car.
Right.
And then of course we have the short front overhang, which is a classic Rolls Royce styling cue. You'll see that on Ghost, Phantom, Wraith, Dawn, and a long rear overhang. This is also a beautiful little feature, this indicator repeater lens with the Rolls Royce badge on it here. It's a piece of jewellery in itself, and you'll see this again on many of the Rolls Royces.
And then also, Rob, tell me about the paint, because this looks amazing, kind of metallic, right?
Yeah, it's beautifully finished. So
this colour's amazing.
It could take two guys literally hours to polish one single panel on this car.
So it's all hand polished?
It's all completely hand polished, and that's why the finish is so flat and uniform and perfect. Incredible. Whereas many other cars will go through a spray booth in a factory, and the paint will just be left, and you'll get the kind of orange, peely, dimply effect in the paint. Rolls-Royce flatten the paint and spend a huge amount of time ensuring it's absolutely flawless. And then one of the most interesting things is, of course, this coach line here, and this is actually done by hand.
No way.
There's a guy in the factory with a brush with really long hairs, and he dips it into the paint and starts at the very top here and runs the whole way along the length of the car and just takes it off the exact right moment at the very end. He must have incredibly steady hands, but
amazing.
Again, it's just evidence of how much Rolls-Royces, they are hand-built cars, and they are steeped in English heritage and tradition. And they're as much about craftsmanship as they are about technology and indeed innovation.
Yeah, definitely. So that's all for this side here?
That's all for that.
Okay, let's move on to the side and we'll see the doors and everything else.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, Rob, tell me about the side of the car now.
So this is what Rolls-Royce call the embrace, which is the opening of these coach doors. So just like the coach doors of a Rolls-Royce of old. And this reveals the wonderful interior of the car, which we'll go into a little bit more detail, but it is absolutely stunning.
It is amazing.
And incredible in here. You just want to hop in. It's so welcoming, and so just the quality, the fit, the finish of everything is just incredible. We will come to that a little bit later on.
Okay, so these coach doors, I've not really seen them anywhere before. So
no, it's something unique to Rolls-Royce that they actually introduced with the Phantom in 2003, which was when Rolls-Royce went through a kind of a rejuvenation. But it's one of those features where in one part Rolls-Royce can hark back to its history and pull something from its heritage and tradition and put it on the car. For example, the Rolls-Royce Spirit of Ecstasy, whereas the coach doors are something that Rolls-Royces wouldn't have had in the 80s and 90s, but they brought this back from the very early part of their history.
Wow. And
now it has become a real mainstay feature of the car's luxurious models. And even the sporty, the more dynamic Wraith model, the doors obviously only has two doors, but they open the opposite way than a normal coupe, which is always very interesting. Furthermore, inside the car we can see that the rear seats are actually slightly higher than those of the front. This is actually known as pavilion seating, and it really enables the rear occupants to have a beautiful view of not only the road ahead, but also obviously out the windows and at the scenery outside the car.
So these doors are pretty heavy, aren't they? So
They are, they're very
is there
heavy.
anything that Rolls-Royce has put in to make them easier to close?
Absolutely. So there are a couple of things. So inside one can press a button on the very top of the dash and indeed in the rear as well to close the door electronically. But even on the outside, the chauffeur's job is also made easier by the fact there's a little button just on the door handle.
Okay.
If you hold it in just for a few seconds and press it, the doors will actually close.
There we go.
Amazing that works first take as well. Yeah. Perfect.
I love the fact that it's got these chrome accents all over the car. I know chrome is kind of, a lot of people think of American cars, right, because they've always got chrome, but
Yes.
it's done in such a tasteful way on Rolls-Royce cars. It's such a...
It is. It's
all
so
about the
highly
jewelry.
polished.
Yeah.
It's actually, I believe it's actually highly polished stainless steel. It's stunningly finished though. It's just that mirror chrome effect.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
And even the fact that they've kept this is quite a nice touch to
I
it,
really
you know,
like that.
in the past.
It's really cool.
Yeah, those little details kind of pick out the car, and of course these are almost reminiscent of running boards that you would have on an old car of the 30s and 40s, when one would have to step onto the running board before getting into the car. Something else interesting about the Cullinan as well is that the doors actually sweep right the way underneath the sill of the car, so one doesn't get so dirty when hopping out.
Ah, yes, I see.
Just a nice, thoughtful, kind of practical touch.
Brilliant. Let's move around to the back.
Cool. So there's a few aspects of the back of the Rolls-Royce Cullinan which are very interesting. First of all, there's the overall shape of it, which is very unique for an SUV car. It actually harks back to the old Rolls-Royces of old, when one would have used, for example, or put luggage at the very back of the car. And this is obviously echoing that shape.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it goes back even further, I guess, to carriages and horses, would have put the
I know exactly
luggage
what
on the back.
I see that now.
So that's a very unique silhouette, and one of my favourite angles of the car is the rear three-quarter view. However, there's a number of kind of little party tricks at the back of the Rolls-Royce Cullinan that's very interesting. First of all, one opens the top tailgate and also the bottom rear bench. This obviously forms a kind of clasp or diamond shape, and this is known obviously by Rolls-Royce as the clasp. There's another really unique feature Rolls-Royce offer, which is actually an option on the Cullinan, which is something called the viewing suite. So you might be familiar with people kind of sitting on the rear bench when viewing a sporting activity. So Rolls-Royce has taken that a step further, and with the viewing suite, two beautifully made individual chairs actually swivel out. Amazing. With a champagne table in the middle. Wow. So one can actually sit there and view an sporting activity, be it polo or hunting or whatever the case might be. So it's a very practical but a really unique and quintessential Rolls-Royce feature.
And then I'm seeing some big juicy exhausts on this.
Yes, so this car has enormous exhaust. It is of course fitted with a V12 engine, a 6.75 litre, producing 563 brake horsepower, but more significantly 850 newton meters of torque at very low revs per minute, so about 1600 revs per minute, which is incredible torque at so low down. So the exhausts obviously hint at the purposeful nature of this car. Yeah. Something else about the rear of the car is just how practical this is. I mean, this is the practical Rolls-Royce, and there are a number of features here to make the car even more practical. First of all, this is actually the first Rolls-Royce with rear seats that actually fold down electronically by pressing these buttons here, and that reveals a really long loading bay. It's actually longer than an extended wheelbase Range Rover Vogue. Wow. So I believe it's over 2.2 metres when fully extended.
No way, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's very long.
That's what you were saying about the skiing, being able to take it going skiing.
Oh, perfect, yeah, be ideal for that. And even the middle section can pop down as well. Furthermore, you can see obviously the boot is at a lower level than the rear seats to prevent things from sliding forward. But if you're loading something that's quite long into the car, for example, like I guess a painting or skis or something like that, you can actually electronically raise the level of the boot to match that of the seats, so it creates that kind of more smooth, exactly a smooth kind of ramp effect. Brilliant. So it works very well.
Very cool. Wow, even these tail lights are pure jewellery.
They are, they're jewellery as well, and you can see the Rolls-Royce symbol embossed. And I guess the final little finishing touch of the rear of the car is that one is used to electronic tailgates, but in the Rolls-Royce, when you hit this button here, both tailgates close simultaneously, which is a very, very nice touch indeed. Very cool. And of course we have the Rolls-Royce symbol on the rear as well. So welcome to the suite of the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, and I guess the first thing we can see here is of course the door card and just the variety of different materials used. The car is obviously finished in incredibly supple and soft leather. It is the softest leather in the industry, and Rolls-Royce actually only take the hides of cows in countries where there is no barbed wire to nick the hide,
okay, so to get the purest hides then.
To get the purest cut, exactly, almost like the purest diamond as it were. Furthermore, in terms of the wood, it is this beautiful exposed grain veneer.
In fact, Rob did mention to me as well that they had a customer, right, that wanted, or a client that wanted a piece of wood from their own estate.
Oh, that's
right?
true. Yes. So somebody brought in their own, effectively, tree, and wanted the veneer to be taken from that specific tree and to put it into the interior of their Rolls Royce, which is something that Rolls Royce can accommodate.
Yeah. Bespoke to the highest level.
This car actually has the optional Rolls Royce bespoke audio system, and the sound is incredible, but even just to look at, they're stunning pieces of jewellery themselves.
Yeah,
quick glance at the carpets, which are just extraordinarily deep lamb's wool carpets that are quite...
you don't want to wear shoes when you get...
No, you really don't,
Oh, so we're going to have a look at the interior now. Oh my god.
Absolutely.
You want to step on this carpet, it looks
it's so deep and nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so comfortable. Oh, it's so comfortable on the seats as well.
Absolutely. There's no actual need to do that. There's a little button on the top left-hand corner there. You can just press and that will close the door for you.
No.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's really good. It's the ultimate in luxury in here.
Oh.
So this is the pavilion seating at the rear of the suite of the Rolls Royce Cullinan. So it's this is probably my favourite aspect of any Rolls Royce, is the interior. Just there's so much to see and to talk about.
Right.
So
beautiful.
I guess overview. I mean, what's your first impressions of it when you sit in?
Just there's so much to look at. Like there's so many details. You know, normal cars it's a lot of plastic and
yes.
like that, and you can tell it's very machine built. But there's just so much everywhere you look. There's just high chrome polish and materials. That's all I can say is finish and materials. There's so many different finishes in the car.
It is, and it's all done so beautifully. Like they've thought of everything. Everything has been wrapped in leather. There isn't a single piece of plastic in here.
No, I know.
Everything that looks
I'm
like...
looking for plastic now, I can't see it.
Yeah, everything that looks like metal is obviously metal. You can hear it by the jingling noise as well. The overall ambience of the car inside is spectacular. There's a couple of options here in terms of the roof lighting as well. You can either have the full panoramic sunroof. We should actually open that, shouldn't we? Let's in more natural light.
Yeah, let's do that. Very nice. And that's all leather.
That's all leather as well, yeah.
Wow.
No, I'll just start this out. No.
No cutting corners. Beautiful.
Yes, so there are a couple of options in terms of the seating of this car. So this Cullinan is fitted with a beautiful panoramic glass skylight. As you can see, it kind of bathes the interior in natural light, kind of picking out all of the beautiful finishing touches and little twinkly pieces around the car. Rolls-Royce is of course famous for that starred headlining, so that's also an option in this car, where they actually weave in hundreds of, almost 1,000 or over 1,000 fibre optic cables. Wow. And they plane them off in the factory to create that, flawless finish, and lights up the sky of the car at night. Amazing. It looks like a starlit sky. There's a number of seating configurations too. So this is lounge seating. So as you can see, we're both speaking to each other quite comfortably. That's because the seat is actually curved around to our back, so we can lean in and speak to one another. Another option is individual seating. So each person could have their individual seat.
Oh, okay.
There's something different.
Kind of bench style.
Exactly, yeah. So the seat would kind of stop here, right, which is very nice, kind of more maybe business type seating environment. Then in the middle here, what is also optional is the champagne cooler. Wow. And they have two beautiful glass flutes. They're beautifully cut in crystal and used for champagne, which is a very, very nice feature when one has this kind of centre console here with the usual cup holders and so on. All of the various features on the front of the car are repeated in the rear. So the beautiful organ stops here are used to control the heating ventilation, like an old organ piano. They offer just the correct amount of resistance as well, which is very interesting. It feels very nice to use. And so many ventilation systems over on the right hand side here as well.
Feel nice. I don't understand that.
They've mastered vents, and even just the way that kind of moves too, it offers just such a quality feel and level of resistance, which is very nice.
And that's actual solid metal.
Yeah, you can hear by the sound.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Then in front, and you've one too, we have these picnic tables which fold down.
How do I do it?
So yeah, press the button on the left hand side there, and that's your picnic table. I've one here, and the button on the right hand side controls the screen, and that will bring the screen out. So this can control a number of features. So for example, satellite navigation, you can give the driver up front an instruction of where you might like to go. But everything from that to, internet Wi-Fi zone, there's even a TV back here. You can select the TV channel and, watch TV as you drive along. But it's particularly what's noticeable with this car is just how high the rear seats are. I mean, you can see the Spirit of Ecstasy from here, and the full view of the road ahead really, which is very, very nice to see.
And these tables, I assume it's the same thing you're talking about with the leaf, right?
Oh, exactly. So these are mirror shadowed as well. So the veneer is it's fully symmetrical on the tables.
Yeah,
then it can just pop away if you don't need it.
And you can't really see any seam.
Oh no, and you can't feel it or see it. It's almost as if it was always like that naturally, but of course they've manipulated the veneers to create that. Even when they store the veneers, it's stored in, at a certain temperature, a certain humidity to keep them really pliable and in perfect condition for the builds a little bit later on.
Yeah. And then these speaker grills, which we spoke about earlier on. Amazing.
Exactly.
That's pure, like, all of these metal parts within the car just feel like jewellery completely.
They do. Everything's a piece of jewellery.
Oh, even the foot ventilation is solid metal.
It is solid metal too.
Wow.
Really nice. And of course, within the doors is actually umbrellas, which is a classic Rolls-Royce feature that can be pulled out and used.
Beautiful. This centre sort of area here, console kind of, for the back.
Yes, that's all of your heating controls.
About before, which we'll come on to in the front. Is the way things are done soft, medium, high, max, rather than like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, exactly.
Really
so
kind of romantic way, isn't it?
This is about, I guess, when Rolls-Royce, how to define luxury, and luxury should be about simplicity and the most relaxing, tranquil experience.
Right.
So why do you need to know what the temperature is, whether it's 22 or 24 degrees? You just need to know whether you need to be a little bit hotter or cooler.
Right.
So that's why you just have a temperature dial and it just moves from left to right. There's no need for that level of detail.
And we even have HDMI inputs, we have USB charging.
Oh, the tech in here, between like night vision to TV to Wi-Fi to the car is a technological tour de force. There's so much packed in here, which is good because it's kind of traditional otherwise.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's not done in like a Tesla way, which is all about
No, it's kind of hidden away more so. But if you want to access it, just to press the button, a screen will pop out, or a panel will raise like in the center console, and it'll be revealed just as any other car. But it's just the way they do it is nice, because again, to clear one's life of all of that clutter and buttons and so on, it's quite nice. You just want a relaxing experience.
And it's truly bespoke, isn't it?
Yeah, it's truly bespoke. I don't know of any other manufacturer. There isn't one that offers that level of.
No, there's none.
I guess the proof of it is that, the fact you can go to them and get Rolls-Royce to build you an entirely bespoke car.
Yeah,
like that says it all. Yeah. So something like changing the material isn't a big deal to them. They look at that as being quite a small thing.
Okay, so we're in the front of the car now. I have to say, it might even be a little bit more comfortable than the back, which I was a bit surprised about.
It's very comfortable up here.
It's amazing. The seats are bigger kind of on their own, so that,
Yeah, so this is the driving cockpit, as it were, the very front of the Rolls-Royce.
What can you tell me about up here?
So, interesting as well, in the past, some of the Rolls-Royces, given the division between the driver and the rear passengers, often the front seats were fitted in or made of different colour leather than those in the front. And it kind of harks back to some of the very, very old cars, the 30s and 40s, when even the front compartment for the driver didn't have a roof, whereas the rear did, which goes back even further to the days of the carriages and the horses, when, remember, royal carriages, for example, the guys sit at the very top and then in the back. Yeah, exactly. Here though, it's very much a world of equality. So we have the same we have the same colour leather obviously in the front as we do the rear, but as you've said, very, very comfortable in here. We get to enjoy the expanse of the centre console here, which is stunning, and numerous features. We get to enjoy the Spirit of Ecstasy we spoke about earlier on, and the view of that. Let's zoom to something actually that's probably most relevant to you, actually, which is the clock, which is a bespoke clock fitted to this Rolls-Royce Cullinan. And Rolls-Royce use this as a piece of jewellery, the clock on their cars, and often their limited edition models will have a particular limited edition clock. For example, they recently launched a very, very limited 35 examples of a Rolls-Royce Ghost, a Silver Ghost Edition Special it was called, and the clock was actually made out of an ingot of silver, and it was engraved with Rolls-Royce Ghost since 1907. So we have our centre console here. I guess what's different about the Cullinan is it's fitted with this, it's called box grain leather grain, and I guess it hints at the car's more all-purpose, effortless, everywhere philosophy, a little bit more rugged than, for example, the normal grain leather, which is actually very, very nice in this particular example. The steering wheel in front, again, a little bit different to some of the Phantoms and Ghosts and so on, in that it's slightly smaller and also with a slightly thicker rim, again hinting at the kind of all-purpose potential of this car. And we have our wand controller here, as opposed to having a conventional gear lever. That's just on the right-hand side, and every control is very, very gentle to use and very lightweight, and it's very, very nice. Supremely relaxing to drive.
Amazing when you look at the sheer size of this car. When you're inside, you totally forget about
the size.
You do. It kind of shrinks around you, and
completely.
you get very used to driving it very, very quickly, which is something that's good for a car, especially like Cullinan, where this should be a car that a Rolls-Royce driver might actually drive very frequently, whereas they may be chauffeured in the Phantom.
Sure.
Although the company have seen with the Phantom that a number of their customers actually really want to drive themselves.
Oh, really?
And enjoy the experience up front. It's kind of like when you hopped in, you said, "Gosh, it's very nice up here as well, just as nice as it is in the rear," which is the point.
So kind of this car is really aimed at someone who wants to drive it themselves rather than a chauffeur-driven off-road vehicle.
It is, because it's the more, I guess, everyday one of all of the models in the range.
So similar to in the back, we've got these amazing grab handles again, which I just love this feature. I think that's
You really like those, don't you?
Yeah, so easy, and obviously the organ.
Oh, the little organ stops are nice too.
So cool. Organ stops just
and the middle as well.
Beautiful.
Then we have, I guess, similar to the rear, we have the screen. There's a particularly large wide screen in the middle of this car. And this is obviously controlled via this controller here. So again, satellite navigation, television, internet, all of the cars, I guess, infotainment features can be controlled via this, as well as all the car's settings and so on and so forth. You might like the dials actually behind the steering wheel here in the kind of instrument binnacle.
Digital, aren't they? I thought they were analog on the Rolls-Royce.
Yeah, they look like that actually.
Wow,
so it's again, you know, it's that combination of traditional and, you know, the future as well, or the contemporary. So yes, while they are obviously digital kind of TFT displays or screens, they're surrounded with that beautifully polished stainless steel, and again look like the analog dials that one would find in one of the other models.
Very nice.
Really unique thing about Rolls-Royces, and all of the models in the range feature this. In fact, it was introduced on the original Phantom Mark 7 in 2003, was the power reserve dial here we spoke about in the rear. So you can see the way it goes from 0 to 100%.
Yes.
So when I turn the car on, the needle will flick to 100%. So 100% of the engine's power is in reserve. And then if you're going along at a motorway speed, it might be 90 or 95% of the engine's power.
That's all it would use.
That's all it would use, which is a nice feeling to know. If anything ever happened, there was a little emergency or whatever, you have 95% of the engine's power in reserve to deal with whatever might happen.
That's amazing. So there's always so much power, you know, left for you to use in case you need to use it.
There is, whereas a normal car might have something like a rev counter or something there. It's just something different. It's no other manufacturer has that. It's very nice. And we have the same lighting up the front here as we had in the rear too, so that Art Deco style lantern settings and so on. And actually something that we just can't see in the daylight, but in the door cards, there's actually LED lighting that runs along this very top rim here.
Okay.
And that kind of bathes the interior in kind of an ambient lighting at night time, which is again very, very nice. They really use lighting to a very good effect to create that.
To create that mood, right.
To create that exact mood, exactly. It's nice how they've taken the symbol again and put it here. And again, there's a nice feeling to how that is controlled and used, and it can move various ways to navigate through the central screen. The screen in this car is actually a touch screen as well, so you don't have to use the controller if you don't. You can use the central touch screen as well. Then down here we've obviously lots of buttons, but you know, very again in the nod to kind of Rolls-Royces, you know, that idea of luxury, less confusion. We've a simple single button here for off-road, and then in the menu you can choose the off-road settings, and then very simple buttons on the left hand side, which is just right height, so up and down, high, low, and really then just mirrors and the usual kind of features down there. But again, very simple, very clean.
Yes, it's really nice, that.
Elegant design. But if you want more detail, pop into the menu here with the controller.
Sort of set away without having to, too much at once.
Yes, exactly. You may want to configure different things a particular way.
Fine tune it.
Same dials that we discussed when we were in the back there about changing the temperature, the soft, the medium, the kind of much more calmer. I don't know. That's just a calm way of putting it rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You know, they really thought of everything, and even the buttons on the top of the dashboard here are used to close the front doors.
Oh, cool. Oh yes, yes, so same as we had in the back.
Same as the rear, and actually the driver can control the passenger door too.
Oh, wow.
From this side on the right hand side.
Something that I really, really wanted to know, say as well, is that I really like. I have been in some other Rolls-Royces, and but this one that I love so much is that the bonnet is kind of almost eye level in a way, and when we were outside, we talked about the spirit of ecstasy. You really see the spirit of ecstasy so much clearer in this car.
You do, just the elevated driving position, and it's really that almost little V-Star valley running down the central bonnet.
Yeah.
That provides that full view of it from top to bottom.
It's amazing. I love it.
And again, it's a useful feature too, as you said before, in terms of the driving. And of course, you can dip it down if you don't want to see it, pop it down. Although, why wouldn't you want to see the spirit of ecstasy? But so one maybe final little touch, and just another nod to luxury in this car, as well as the seats being heated, the centre console armrest here is also heated, and also the armrest and the doors, which is combined with a heated steering wheel. Whoa. Almost all the touch points are heated in some fashion in this car, which makes, particularly in January in a cold winter month, very relaxing.
Shall we go for a drive?
It's time to go for a drive, because driving a Rolls Royce is a completely unique experience, and something that really, it needs to be experienced to really truly appreciate it.
Yeah. For
all of the words you can say about it, driving it is spectacular. So let's do that.
I have been in a Rolls Royce before, but it was a drop top, so like a convertible. I didn't really fully appreciate the silence, because obviously the roof was off. But I have heard they are amazingly quiet.
They're amazingly quiet. Like when we start this car up,
you do get a beefy engine noise.
Very nice sound on starting, kind of a high pitch. You start a noise and
very
silence. Then, in fact, the loudest thing is actually the ventilation system. So again, to drive, there is this wand on the right hand side here used to select the gears as opposed to anything in the centre. Then one just takes off automatically and the handbrake releases.
Okay, so we're on the way out of the car park, and it is, like I said, very pothole filled, and they're massive, but we are just gliding over it.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. If it's this smooth on this type of road, I can't imagine what it's going to be like on the actual road.
Yeah, no, very, very smooth indeed.
It's like a magic carpet.
It is. So for me, the silence is just, it's the standout feature, because it's something you just do not get in other cars. Such an insulated ride. And I guess there's lots of technology behind the silence. The car is filled with so much sound deadening insulation. Even the tyres of the car are filled with foam.
Oh wow.
To really reduce decibels and really dampen that sound. But it's a car you almost drive with your fingertips. It's just so relaxing. You don't want to drive it fast because there's no need to, but it will go incredibly fast. And that's quite a surge of acceleration too when you kind of take off. We'll demonstrate a little bit later on, but it's just so relaxing.
So relaxing.
All is well with the world in here.
All is definitely well.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd ever want to leave.
No.
I just want to stay in my car all day.
It just makes long journeys all the more relaxing and luxurious. They don't take anything out of you.
Yeah, exactly. Someone explained to me about business class flights, or when you're in business class, it becomes part of the holiday experience, the actual business class.
That's actually a great analogy for exactly what this is like.
Exactly, it becomes part of your journey, your holiday.
Yes.
Because it's so relaxing and peaceful to be in here.
So it really is about the A to B.
Yeah.
It's that the enjoyment is between the A and the B.
Exactly. Yeah. You almost can't wait to get away from where you are so you can get back in your car again.
It is. And it does make a tangible difference. When you arrive at a location, you do feel refreshed just as you hopped in. It's not like some cars you feel quite tired after driving.
Especially if it's noisy and vibrations. But
I'd even go as far as to say, if at the start, a journey, quite stressed out about, a stressful day or whatever, by the time you get home, you're going to be so relaxed from this thing. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to accelerate now in a second, but it's a beautiful experience.
Just waft forward, don't you?
It is, and Rolls-Royce have actually coined the phrase waftability to describe their cars. So waft is an appropriate adjective for the experience. So you can see if one accelerates.
Wow, that's so quick.
There's quite a lot of acceleration there. I mean, Spirit of Ecstasy rises and you just lunge forward. Just effortless.
Those are the cars blows up.
Exactly, just an effortless kind of mountain of torque. And that is because so much torque, as we said before, 850 Newton meters, is available so low down in the rev range. You get all that power right up front when the car is really only at idling speeds.
I can see it. Yeah, you barely even on the accelerator and then just boom, straight away.
Exactly. So imagine overtaking or acceleration is just spectacularly fast. There's endless power here, and with 563 brake horsepower, there was a time when Rolls-Royce didn't actually disclose the power of its cars. They simply said it was adequate, which is very nice. And this is indeed more than adequate. But these days they actually disclose the displacement and so on and so forth.
I suppose in a way that's in keeping with the whole power reserve indicator, rather than saying you've got 7,000 RPM,
yes,
or you're doing 3,000 RPM. It said, you've got more than adequate now. We're going along and it looks like 100% to me.
They could even go further with the power reserve and just have adequate, less adequate. Yeah. Oh, that would be a bridge too far, but incredibly relaxing experience and a dream to drive.
You don't need to think about power, do you?
You don't really, because you just know there's so much of it there.
Right.
You know there's so much in reserve. It's just not something to think about, really.
Right. But also, it's probably not really the mentality you have with this car, is it?
No, it's not.
Just about relaxation and peacefulness.
Exactly.
it does get a lot of, just we're driving past some people now.
It does.
Gets a huge amount of attention.
And a huge amount of positive attention as well.
Definitely.
There's some cars you drive where people wouldn't let you out at junctions, or they just have a certain image, whereas Rolls Royces are seemingly universally adored. Even simple journeys of 15 minutes down to the shops, you get people pulling up beside you, dropping the window, wanting to talk all about the car, and the reaction is universally positive. And for a car obviously so expensive and so on, it's incredible to have that appreciation.
The history with the Rolls-Royce, and the fact that I think is really, one thing that I find really special is the fact they've carried all that history and heritage forward, and they haven't just dropped it and got rid of it.
It's the
They've
continuity
kept it going.
is very
they've
important.
Kept it going. The spirit of ecstasy is such a central part of those old vintage Rolls Royces.
Absolutely, and there are things you can do to modernise it. For example, the LEDs and this in the base of it,
Right.
use different materials. But the fundamental principle is it's the same spirit of ecstasy.
Definitely.
And that's the key thing. The other nice thing about driving the car is the cruise control system. So it's adaptive, being it monitors the car in front. So if the car in front were to accelerate or indeed brake, this car would replicate those features. But it's just how relaxing and how beautiful it is to stop. It just really stops so gracefully, and remarkably, from whatever the speed, it stops so gracefully, so that you're never kind of lunged forward upon braking.
Yes, I know what you mean. I see.
So another thing that kind of harks back to chauffeur training of old.
Right. Very nice. Something I have noticed, and I did say to you before, is that this does feel like an electric car. The engine is very quiet. Apart from that first startup, you get that roar when it comes to life, but not in an aggressive way. It's just sort of,
Just reminds you that it's purposeful. The intent is there if you need
500 horses just sitting there, but only when you need them.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get it on the acceleration too, but again, it's quite insane immediately then.
Very quiet. So yeah, the easiest way for me to be able to explain the sound levels and the ride is an electric car, but just so much better than that. I always finish my videos with, would I own the car or not?
Oh yes.
Would I own the watch, sorry. So why don't we do the same for this video? Would you own this Rolls-Royce Cullinan?
Absolutely, I would own one of these. I'd like to have every mod in the range, but you can really see how they all have a particular purpose.
Right.
So the Phantom is as the pinnacle, it's just probably my favourite of the range.
Okay.
But aside from that, they're all pretty much equal because they're all finished to the very same standard, the same attributes, just different applications each model has in the range.
Would I own this car? Well, actually, yes, I would definitely own this car. Probably though, if I was looking at Rolls-Royce, personally I'd go for a Wraith because I prefer a slightly smaller car.
Yes.
But I do really like this car. The feeling of being able to go off-road in this is so weird because it's just such an incredible ride and so luxurious in here. And you look around and you see mud everywhere and you think, what are we doing? This feels so out of place. It actually just works so well. Something that I would definitely say as well, that I have noticed during looking at this car in this video, is they are quite similar to certain watch brands. I'd probably say Audemars Piguet maybe, in the respect that Audemars Piguet is very much in touch with their history and their heritage.
Absolutely.
And their incredible, rich history and everything they've achieved over the years. But at the same time, they're always trying to look for new materials, innovating with new technology. And I think Rolls-Royce is doing the same.
Yeah, the Rolls-Royce for exactly that.
They keep it still very classic, very elegant and beautiful. And it's all about materials and the finish and feel. But at the same time, they're supplementing it with new technologies to make things even more enjoyable for the driver. Thanks guys for watching. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this video. We could have many more of these in the pipeline. Robert's done an amazing job today, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Very much enjoyed being on the channel, and absolutely in the future we can do a lot more of these.
So let us know if you're interested. As I said at the beginning of this video, we are at the end of the day a watch and jewelry company, Bijou Diamond Jewelry, and we therefore will always be a watch and jewelry based channel. But it's important to bring you new content and show you new things and how the car industry and the watch industry and also jewelry as well influence one another. It gives you a much bigger perspective of the luxury industry. That's what we want to do on this channel. So let us know in the comments if you want more videos like this. We can definitely sort it out. Robert's already come up with some amazing ideas of some future videos we could do together.
Yeah, they're good fun.
And if you're interested in seeing his stuff, which is amazing by the way, I watch all his videos.
Thank you.
Go check it down in the description. He has a channel on Drive Tribe. He's reviewed some incredible cars. Many more from Rolls-Royce that are totally cool. He's actually done his own review of this car as well, so go check that out too. And as always, if you're interested in the pieces mentioned in this video, and in this case just one piece, which is the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, don't hesitate to contact Rolls-Royce. Their details will be in the description below. I'm sure there'll be someone that can help you spec a car down there. Thanks for watching.